So here we go. Thank you for joining another episode of, I don't know what this is. It's another episode of Aaron Watching Things. And I hope you like it. I really do. I hope you don't like it, honestly, too, at the same time, because fuck you. And yeah, we'll get right to it.
Fellow travelers, Mark here with Walter's World, and today we're here in Natchez, Mississippi for the don'ts of visiting Mississippi. And my first don't for you is don't be surprised if you go on a trail or two when you are here, because throughout Mississippi they have a lot of roadways.
Yeah, I think we do have like a lot of trails here. It is definitely like a nature state, and I feel like people don't really get that. They think, I mean, like it's definitely mostly nature. I mean, I guess you know that, right? But
And trails you can go
very
on.
green.
And I'm not saying hiking trails. Well, you can do those, but I'm talking about trails like here in Natchez. You have the Natchez Trail where you go around and you can see the beautiful homes like Stanton Hall or Choctaw Hall. And there's all these beautiful places you can see when you're here. And they have it laid out for you for a tourist. You want to do something across the state? Well, you know what? You can do the Mississippi Blues Trail where you can go see some of the history of the blues. Remember, this is the birthplace of America's music is here in Mississippi. And you can see there's a museum.
If you come to Mississippi, you better be in the mood to eat and listen to some music. I mean, especially obviously Memphis area too, but Mississippi, I think he's just going to focus obviously on Mississippi, of course. But
For B.B. King, you can go see Robert Johnson where he's laid to rest. The Gateway to Blues Museum, the Delta Blues Museum. I mean, there's a lot of music stuff that's here. Hey, guess what? Also, you can
people think that the blues music or like whatever music comes from Memphis. They think it all comes from Memphis or Tennessee. It like a lot of it comes from Mississippi. I mean, even like obviously Ray Shrimmered, like or I think it's in Tennessee.
go see Tupelo where Elvis is from. Yes, you got all that music trail stuff you can do when you're here. But also there's some more serious stuff you can do. The Mississippi Freedom Trail, you can go and see some of the historic sites throughout the state. Honestly, the Mississippi Civil Rights Museum in Jackson, I mean, it's right by the Capitol. If you go, there's a bunch of great museums right there. Go see that. There's a lot of stuff you can really take in. And if you're just driving, you have trail or two when you are here in Mississippi. And I think the next stone I want to talk about is, as a lot of people, they think of Mississippi, they think, oh, it's just backwoods, there's nothing there, there's no culture and things like that. That's my next stone for you.
There's culture everywhere. Everywhere you go, there's going to be a certain culture, right? And I think what he's basically saying, like, it's just not going to be like as vibrant. And I mean, you're not going to have a lot of vibrant stuff in Mississippi. I mean, that's just how it is.
I don't think there's no culture when you are here. There actually are a lot of really nice museums when you are here, like I was talking about with the Civil Rights Museum, the Mississippi Museum of Art. They've got some really good stuff there. You have the Mississippi Museum of Natural Science. You have all those music museums I was talking about before. Heck, they have international ballet competitions in Jackson, in the capital. And the thing is, when you go throughout the state, you'll see a lot of like small museums to check out. I mean, there's even a Coca-Cola museum you can check out when you are here in Mississippi. But don't think there's no culture, because there's a lot of stuff you can do. And some of that culture is going into some of these homes and going to learn about the history of the communities here in Mississippi, and the good and the bad. It's really important for anyone they come here. And I think one of the really historical U.S. places to visit when you are here is actually if you go to Vicksburg. The Vicksburgs, that's where there's a big battle in the Civil War.
Yeah, but he's going to be talking about it a little bit, but like it's a Civil War battlefield. So I mean, if you're interested in like the history and stuff like that of it, you should definitely come to Mississippi for that reason. I mean,
and the Vicksburg National Military Park there, it has a lot of information.
I think. Okay, don't quote me on this. I think Vicksburg home to the biggest battlefield that is still visitable, basically, of the Civil War. I don't know.
You can learn when you're there.
Sure.
So you can actually learn a lot when you do come here to Mississippi. So don't think this is just a backwater, no culture kind of place. They do have some stuff you can enjoy and learn when you are here. Which makes an interesting segue to my next stone. And my next stone for you is don't mess around here. You know, if you're in the swamps or in other parts about the state and you see something slithering around, it might be okay, it might not be. So make sure you stay away from the snakes. And also, whenever you see alligators, they are not your friend. They are not for pictures. Even if it's on a golf course or someplace, they're not tame, okay?
Crocodiles. But if you see any of them, of course,
do make sure you keep an eye out for them, okay? Really? Just to be safe. Now, my next stone for you is actually don't come to Mississippi if you're on a diet, because honestly, everything has, you know me, I love my food. In Mississippi, you've got the Southern cuisine, all over the place here. But also, you're on the
Bussin'.
Gulf, so you have like Gulf shrimp that comes in, so you can have amazing shrimp and grits when you're here. There's all kinds of great seafood. The oysters that are here, oh my God, they're to die for. I mean, you will eat so well when you're here. So don't think, oh, I'm going to go to the south and be out in the sun and work out and stuff like that. Yeah, you may work out during the day, but then your shirt will get higher and higher on your visit because there's so much good food to have when you are here. And there are interesting foods as well. You know, yes, the barbecue is fantastic when you're here, but you know what? They actually sometimes will put pickles and Kool-Aid for a kind of a tastier pickle treat. I'm not a pickle person, so it's not for me. My oldest, he thought they were pretty cool.
Too, with pickles, like you're gonna see some candy pickles. I mean, honestly, you can go like to all the national food chain restaurants. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of Mississippi. There's a lot of them everywhere, but a lot of the local stuff too is really good. I mean, you should do it, so especially local barbecue and local, you know, pork. I mean, anything like that. I'm telling you, it's all.
So
good.
I'll take his word for it. But there is a lot of really good food you can have when you're here. Of course, then there's the slug burgers you might want to have when you are here. But we have a video on the food of Mississippi to help you out. So I'll have Jocelyn talk about that in that video. There'll be a link below for you to watch it. But I think there is an important don't when it comes to the food here. And that is, don't say crawfish wrong. It's not crayfish. It's not crawdaddies.
I feel like that's not like a big deal. But yeah, just say crawfish. I mean, people obviously, I mean, that's just how you say it around here, crawfish. I mean,
it's not cray anything. It's
shit is so good though. I mean, I recommend getting crawfish when you're Mississippi, like especially the ones that have sausage in it, and get it from like the little local people. You know what I'm saying? Like bussin'.
Crawfish. Okay, you have crawfish when you're here. And don't forget, here, they like to suck out the heads and then you pinch the tails to get every last tasty.
Okay, I never have sucked out the heads, but yes, you pinch out the tails, open up a little bit, get the meat out. Juicy, spicy, amazing. Now, you will make sure you bring some some chapstick. Your lips will get chapped just because of the weather too, but also when you're eating all those spices and shit like that. I mean, me personally, it'll happen to me.
Bit out of there, and believe me, if you're not sure how to do it, I'm sure somebody near will be like, you know what, I'll take one to show you how it works, just to help you out. But seriously, the crawfish here, awesome. Get it, whether it's in, I had it in gumbo last night. My kid had it in, like, it was weird, they put it in a queso and put it on angel hair pasta. I mean, crawfish is a big thing when you're here, so definitely have it when you are here. But don't say it the wrong way, okay? Now, another don't I have for you with the food is don't be weirded out if they ask if you want a Coke and you don't want a Coke. Because some places in Mississippi, they call soda or pop, they just say Coke in general. So they may say, okay, what kind of Coke do you want? You're like, oh, I'll have a Mellow Yellow. Oh, what kind of Coke you want? I'll have a Pepsi, because they just use Coke as the ubiquitous soda word or pop word when you're here. Now, people understand if you say soda and pop, but don't be surprised. They ask, hey, go grab me a Coke from the fridge, and all they have is root beer, like some Barks. And you're like, oh, all there is Barks. They're like, yeah, I said, go get me a Coke. You're like, all right. So that's one of those things there. And this is one thing that I've seen a couple times when I've been in Mississippi, not as much as back in the day when my dad used to come here a lot, but peanuts in Coke, like actual Coca-Cola, like, you know, the red can, it's in the bottle.
I do love
you have that in there. So there's something you might see when you're here.
I don't really
you don't see it as much
Coke.
You used to, but don't be surprised if you do. Okay. Now, my next don't for you is don't forget your manners and your patience when you come to Mississippi, because the locals.
No, I sometimes say like yes, ma'am, and like no, ma'am. Like whenever like I do DoorDash, just because this is how it is, or yes, sir, no, sir. But I mean, then again, people don't really necessarily care about manners. Just be respectful. I mean, if someone is disrespecting you, of course, be assertive, be nice, but like, don't come at somebody and just be disrespectful. That's just general. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to say yes, ma'am. You don't have to say no, sir, or whatever.
They'll never forget their manners and their patience. Look, when you come to Mississippi, it's a more relaxed kind of place to be. And so service is not always super fast. Getting things done isn't always super fast. And I see some tourists getting upset by that. Look, just chillax when you're here in Mississippi. It gets hot. It gets humid. Just like, I don't want to move too fast. It's okay.
It gets hot and humid. Then the next day, it's going to be fucking snowing. So, you know, every time you visit here, if you visit like a week, I'm dead ass. Like, listen, bring a jacket and bring shorts. Like, bring all of it, because literally this past couple of weeks, I think it was like 75 degrees one day. And literally, I'm not even joking, the next day it was 40. or it was like under 40. So
Just
be
realize that
prepared
when you're
for that.
here, yeah, you're yes ma'ams and you're yes sirs and you're holding the door for people and after you, sir. These are things you do here. This is a traditional thing here in Mississippi. You have your manners out the
Hold the
wazoo
door though.
because the locals will as
Respectful.
well. And one of the
I
things
hold
that's
the door
cool
all the
about
time.
this politeness of the locals, they're super friendly. So if you're looking for a place to eat, if you're looking for a place to drink, which is also a fun thing here, maybe a good park to go to, or what house should I check out when I'm coming here to Natchez? The locals will be very helpful with that. But also, what's funny is you might ask for, hey, can you give me a recommendation for a restaurant? And they'll end up giving you like 10 and keep talking. You're like, yeah, I just want to know. I'm only here for like 3 days. I don't need 90 restaurants, but thank you. You can't do that. You just take all 90 restaurants, then figure it out when you're here. Because the people in Mississippi really are super friendly. And yes, you might notice a little drawl when you're here, a little accent when you're here. And that leads me into the
Y'all.
next don't of Mississippi is don't worry if you don't understand the accent and some of the vocabulary when you first get
I don't
here.
think the accent is too bad. I mean, I've been living here my whole life, right? Um, but yeah, you're gonna hear the y'all and the ain'ts and the like. I think he said like fixing to, and I mean you're gonna hear all that. Like it's just where you go, and like, but it's exactly
You'll
you'll get
eventually
used to
get
the
it.
accent.
Because, yes, you'll hear the y'alls
It's
and
not bad.
fixin' twos and Mike coulds and stuff like that. But the accent can be a bit.
But I'll say this though: there's one thing he doesn't even go over this. I don't think. If someone has a funny accent, like if they're talking like man, I'm you know what I'm saying, don't copy them. Like don't like mimic them in front of them like that. And if you mimic them, try to make it funny. I mean, because they'll laugh about it. People laugh about it all the time about their accents, all the time. But don't make fun of them.
Tough at first,
Common
especially for
sense,
my
right?
international travelers coming here to Mississippi. But don't worry, the people are so friendly, they'll work with you and you'll get it down just fine. And you know what? Y'all might pick something up when you're here. Who knows, all right? Now, my next stone for you is don't skip out on the historic towns and the small towns around Mississippi. Because here in Mississippi, people have a lot of pride in their communities. And so they actually put a lot of effort into, having these beautiful halls kept up and stuff like that. Yes, they are doing that.
And this is everywhere though throughout the United States. I mean, you just have respect. Like, if you're visiting like someone's home and you're going to their their trails and shit like that, you're eating at their restaurants that they always eat at. I mean, common courtesy, shit like that. I mean, obviously be respectful. Don't throw trash on the ground. Don't fucking be an asshole. That's all it is, right? That's all it is about being a human, anyways.
you can enjoy the town. Go to Oxford and see the square that's there. You see all this beauty, all these beautiful small towns you can go and see. Get off the highway. Don't just take 55 down, or 10 across.
Yeah, I mean, you could take 55 like literally straight down through Mississippi, but you're not gonna see. You're just gonna see a bunch of trees. I mean, and if that's what you want to do, then that's what you want to do. But Mississippi is, I don't know if like a colorful place. It's definitely diverse though when you get up towards the Memphissipian area. You know what I'm saying? Where I'm located.
Or whatever, and I'm going to Biloxi and that's it. I'm going down to gamble and hit the beach. No, get out and explore some of the small towns when you're here, because that's one of the greatest things we've had is when we took the back roads that coming here to Natchez and stuff and going out to Oxford. You're like, wow, this is just gorgeous when you're here, and that kind of leads into kind of the next don't I have for you is don't think Mississippi is all the same. I mean, there are
Yeah,
the
it's
rolling
not.
hills and the trees and the woods,
It's diverse. It
and
really
the
is.
palm trees and the beaches. Yes, there's a lot of different parts of the state you can enjoy. So don't think it's all the same. It really does vary in terms of the towns and the cities and the countryside and the
Roundabout.
beaches and stuff like that. So there is some things you should check out when you're here, aside from just going to Biloxi or just heading up Jackson for the museums. There's really a lot to see. Because honestly, if you're going to the Gulf Islands National Seashore, or if you're going to be driving Great River Road along the Mississippi, there's a petrified forest here. There's a lot of different stuff you can take in when you are here in the nature side of things. That's why a lot of people recommend hiking here, not just the trails going to see
Yeah.
like beautiful homes, but actually going and hiking
Just
around
walk,
the state.
you know,
Now,
be
another thing
healthy.
you're going to see when you drive around the state is just like everywhere in the South, this is SEC country, okay? This is football country. But there's something I would think you should know
Yeah,
is
I mean, exactly. So the Egg Bowl. He's going to talk about a little bit about the Egg Bowl. Egg Bowl is Ole Miss versus Mississippi State, and I mean, you don't have to choose a side, but definitely when you come down here, if you are into football, you should try to plan your visit around the Egg Bowl time. So look it up, Google it, do your research before you come, obviously, and try to come during that time just so you could experience that type of football
Don't think
fantasy.
the Egg Bowl means nothing. And the Egg Bowl, for those of you who don't know, is when Ole Miss, the University of Mississippi is called Ole Miss. When Ole Miss and Mississippi State play against each other, it's called the Egg Bowl. And they actually have a statue with an egg and all kinds of stuff.
They're not good. It probably won't be like a good game, but the environment will be a good environment. That's all I'm trying to say.
That they've done, I mean, over 100 times, I think, over the years. And it's a really big thing here in the state. And even if their teams aren't super good all the time, for the people of Mississippi, it's a big thing for them. So if you come in, if you're moving here and you're going to be when that game is, if it's only once a year, if you're coming by, make sure you choose a team or someone will choose it for you. So that's why you think, oh, hotty toddy. Okay, and so that's Old Miss is saying, by the way. And also, if you see hotty toddy, don't think it's a drink. That's just a saying people from Old Miss has. That's a like rallying call, right? So you have that. Now, my next note for you, when you're driving around and you're enjoying the state, because there's a lot to see, is don't forget to bring some extra cash. I've gone a few places, especially like getting food at the stands on the side of the street, which you can totally do. Pick up some boiled peanuts. Yeah, thank you very much. You're going to need to have cash. So just have some cash with.
I love me some boiled peanuts. I've had those at like the flea markets and everything. That's another thing too. Flea markets here. Great. Amazing. And whenever we watch the Memphis video, there's a bunch of flea markets in Memphis too, especially the Cooper Young Festival. We'll get into that though.
Especially when you're going around. I did notice that Discover and American Express were not accepted as often as other places I've been to. Visa and MasterCard was okay, but the other cards, not so much. So probably a good idea to have some cash. And the last note I have for you when you're coming here to Mississippi is don't be surprised if you see some Confederate flags and some Confederate War Memorial.
I mean, I will stop right there too, but like, yeah, exactly. I mean, this was the main state during the Civil War, and there's people here that, I mean, their families obviously, fought for certain sides of the Civil War, right? But no one here is like racist. I mean, I don't really encounter anybody racist in Mississippi. Whenever my whole life, really, right? Yes, I've encountered racist people. I'm not stupid, but generically, and just keeping it plain and simple, if you go to Mississippi, there's not going to be a lot of racist people. It's not a racist state. I think the Confederate flag means a lot to people in some type of way. Of course, I don't see why. But I just will respect people's opinion. Just like how the Nazi flag isn't a symbol for Nazi. It's a symbol for peace, or it was a symbol for peace. So obviously the swastika you can't even wear that anymore. So Confederate flag is, kind of the same thing. It's just like, you wear it, people think you're automatically a racist, But just basically don't judge a person before you see them. And if you see a MAGA hat, I mean, well, you probably don't really see them anymore, but you'll probably see those too, because this place is definitely a Republican state. So if that is a big thing to you, to just don't come.